So you want to get a tattoo, but there's tons of things on your mind, mostly worries, right? Am I going to get the right tattoo? Am I going to put it in the right spot? It's going to be permanent for the rest of my life. And so, what does that mean? And am I not going to be able to get a job if I get a tattoo? Am I going to lose my job? Is it going to hurt when I get the tattoo? How much will it hurt? Is the after process, healing and stuff like that, is a nightmare? It's going to ooze and bleed everywhere. Don't panic and don't worry, because I'm going to walk you right through this, because I did it. And by the way, I have hemophilia, which is a bleeding disorder. So if I can do it, anybody can do it. Let's get started. All right, the first thing that we want to think about when we're getting a tattoo is the decision, right, and designing it. Now, this is a very important stage, and one sometimes that people maybe either jump over or jump into too fast. I firmly believe if you're going to get a tattoo and it's your first tattoo, that you need to think about it for a little while. And I'm talking days, weeks. The other thing that you need to think about is where you want it. So I went with the shoulder for my first tattoo because I want to be able to, even a short sleeve shirt, I want to be able to decide when people can see my tattoo. And I thought the shoulder would be a good first choice because it's a good spot, right? For like if I have a tank top or a sleeveless shirt, but also it's there's a lot of muscle there, and I didn't think that it would be as painful as other places, like for instance on the rib cage. I hear the inner thigh is horrible, the tops of the feet, the backs of the hand. These are all sensitive places. Also, decide if you're going to be designing it. I designed my own tattoo, and I'll bring it up on the screen. So I designed my tattoo myself. That's the way that I wanted to do it. And I wanted it to really have a lot of meaning. So what I did was I started with the Zen circle around the outside. It's Japanese calligraphy. It's called Enso. And it symbolizes absolute enlightenment, strength, elegance, the universe, and also Mu, the void. Notice that my circle is not completely connected. That symbolizes still working on myself. Zen Buddhism practitioners relate the idea to wabi-sabi, and that is the beauty of imperfection. In the center, I've got Japanese kanji, and it's actually the first half of the Japanese word, which is kazoku, and that means family members. Since it's the first half, it really means family, or house, or home. It also means professional, expert, performer, which was pretty exciting to me. And then I also love, if you notice at the top of the character, that's the Japanese symbol for mountain, or yama. And I love mountains. The colors, that's the most important part of this thing to me, and it represents each member of my family. It's each member's favorite color. And then to wrap the whole thing up, you can see a blood drop there. And that symbolizes my foundational character, because hemophilia and HIV have impacted me and my family and all of those around me so much. So I wanted to embody it in something in this, and I thought that a blood drop kind of summed it all up. And then the music, obviously off to the side there, that's my thing that I love doing. I love playing, I love listening, I love music. I feel like it's like just such a key to a healthy, successful life. The tattoo as a whole represents my family and me. And I feel like Eric Brooks, my tattoo artist, did an amazing job of conveying it, of moving it onto my body and turning it into a beautiful piece of art. What do you think? Once you've got that, now we're at step 2. And this is another step that some folks skip over or don't worry about. They just basically flip open the yellow pages. Did I say yellow pages? I just showed my age. All right, so they Google and they go, tattoo artist near me, or tattoo parlor near me, tattoo studio near me. And they just find, and then they look at, the stars, and that's cool. I mean, you can definitely find out information from that. But I took it a step further. What I did was I found a couple of my friends that have a lot of tattoos, Daniel and Scott, and I knew that they know what they're talking about, and they're local here and they always have been. So I knew they've probably tried several shops, plus they talk to people who they're in the know. You know what I mean? I'm not in the know. I was new to this. So I relied on them. I reached out to them. And the funny thing is, they both talked to me for a little while about it, and then once they saw that I was serious, they both mentioned the same place. Now that gave me 2 thumbs up, because I was like, wow, these guys have been around, they've been to a lot of parlors and stuff, and they recommended Classic Electric Tattoo, and both of them were friends with the owner, Eric Brooks, and they had rave reviews about his place. So I knew I was in good hands. And that's a very important step. Step 2 is very important because the artist is going to determine a lot. And mostly it's your experience during getting the tattoo, but also how good the job is on the tattoo. And all of that just kind of comes together, culminates to give you a really good experience. If you just stroll down the boardwalk at the beach and see a tattoo parlor and walk in, because they take walk-ins, and go, hey, I want this tattoo, you may not have as good of experience as if you go through the process like I did. So number 3 is funny, because most people that I talk to don't really think about the before care. Right? Everybody, when you talk about a tattoo, they talk about aftercare and what you need to do after getting the tattoo. This was something that I kind of came up with on my own. I'm really big on being proactive. Now, I had to be, actually, because I have a bleeding disorder. I need factor VIII to put in my body that basically is a protein that makes it so that I can stop bleeding. So one of my before cares was I had to inject factor VIII to make sure that I wouldn't bleed profusely while getting the tattoo. And so obviously that's a before care that I couldn't skip. But there's a lot of other before cares that I did that maybe folks didn't think of. I wanted to make sure that my body and my immune system, because these are the 2 things that I thought about. A lot of people talk about in aftercare that the tattoo is in the healing process and it's going to bleed and weep and it's possibility for infection. So what I wanted to do was I wanted to boost or build up my immune system beforehand. And in order to do that, the easiest thing for me was thinking about, healthy diet, which is something that's always on my mind anyway, but just making sure that I'm focused on that. But also super hydration, because I know that hydration and water in general in your body helps with healing process and with your immune system. So for 2 weeks before, I started ramping up. I already drink a lot of water, but I ramped up and I drank even more, and I became really super hydrated. And the surprising thing out of that is my skin looked better and I felt better anyway. But I knew going into my tattoo that I was going in with the most healthy, strong body that I could. And that's something that I think is really important. You want to do that before care. All right, a big part of the proactivity or beforehand is to make sure that you have some of the products that you're going to need for leading up to and also after the aftercare. You want to get those products beforehand to make sure that you have them on hand. You don't want to be out shopping the day, that you got your tattoo. So one of the big recommendations from folks is to use antibacterial soap. And, this is the one that I got. It's got aloe. I really dig aloe. It's good stuff. Mom taught me all about that. The other thing that you want is for after the initial open wound stage is done, you're still going to do months of applying lotion to the tattoo to make sure that it softens the skin up, helps it through the healing process and everything, and just makes it a well-rounded, beautiful tattoo. And lotion will help with that. All of my research and also my tattoo artist recommended Lubriderm, and it's been fantastic. I love it. I went ahead and got the intense skin repair version. Now it does have a slight scent, which kind of, made me think, should I be getting that? But it's not very much, and also it's after the open wound stage. This stuff is awesome. I feel great after applying it. Now before you do the lotion though, you're going to spend a couple days applying some ointment, and So my artist and also online research showed me that Aquaphor is a good choice for that. This is the advanced therapy healing ointment. Another option, and something that I got just in case, is Sanoderm, which is like this almost like a second skin that you apply instead of doing ointment for a couple days. It stays on for a couple days, and it's waterproof and breathable, which is amazing to me. The technology is incredible. But the thing with this one was, and what I decided was, depending on how my open wound was after my tattoo was done, if it was oozing and if it was bleeding and stuff like that, I was going to clean it good, dry it, and then apply this and leave this on for like 2 or 3 days and just let it kind of weep and it do its thing. But because my tattoo was no bleeding, no weeping, because I did the proactive before care, and I built up to, I was very proactive about the way that I handled getting the tattoo. So because of that, I didn't have any weeping. So I went right to the Aquaphor. Did a couple days of that. I knew that I wasn't in open wound anymore, and then I switched over to the Lubriderm. The other thing that you're going to need is paper towels. And the reason why I say that is because when you dry the tattoo, you want a clean something to do it. You can either air dry it or you can dry it, but you don't want to be using a towel, especially during open wound stage, which can leave cotton lint and stuff like that behind. Towels tend to get dirty pretty quickly just hanging on a rack. So unless you're pulling it right out of a sanitized cleaning, a towel's not a good option. Paper towels, however, are. Now, one thing that I will note is I use the inside of the paper towel, which I just feel like it's even another layer of cleanliness. But these are the products that you'll get. So let's go to step 4, and that's during. During the tattoo is also important, right? I'm into meditation and breathing exercises and things like that. Now, I had heard from a lot of people, oh, it's terrible pain. I didn't find it really that painful. It was more like an irritation. But I don't. Everybody's different. Maybe I have a different pain threshold because of dealing with bleeds and stuff in my life. But it was kind of more like scratches. Maybe the problem is that it was scratches for like 3 hours. You know what I mean? Like anybody could take like a scratch. But if you just kept scratching the same place over and over again, eventually that'll beat you down. And I could see that. Like 90 minutes in, I was like, whew, you know, we need to get this show on the road. But it definitely does. Over time, it kind of beats on you. So that's why I feel like meditation and breathing is going to be an important part. Just kind of calming yourself, which will also lower your blood pressure. And what does that do when you have an injury and you're bleeding? That's like a good thing for you, right? So you want to definitely make sure of that. The other thing that was cool during for me was having a really good tattoo artist. Eric was fantastic with conversation. So the majority of the time he kept my mind off of it anyway. But one tip that I wanted to give folks that I learned a long time ago when I was a kid, when I had knee bleeds, if you are in pain, what you can do, you know, the way that your nerves work is really the brain can only handle about 4 or 5 things at the same time when it comes to what your nerves are telling it. So you can tap your fingers together, and you can take your other hand and you can tap on your inner thigh, and you know, or just somewhere, or just do things, because what that is that's taking over your nervous system and saying, hey, something's going on over here. It doesn't have to be pain or more bother than what's going on. It just has to be something. And so if you can stay focused on other things, you can really eliminate a lot of that pain. Also, don't think of it as pain. Know that this artist knows what he's doing. The equipment that he has is not doing anything that's going to kill you. And so just understand that that's a process that's happening over there. And that's another kind of step to getting out of that pain problem. All right, so now here's the part that everybody already knows. And this is phase 5, and that's aftercare. And that's pretty straightforward. I already showed you the products that I used after. But I mean, you want to make sure that you're diligent with this. You need clean bed sheets. And you need, anytime you put on clothing that's going to go over your tattoo, it needs to be clean. It may sound silly to most of us to hear me say that, but you'd be surprised what people will do. So when I got out of there, he had put this like meat packing stuff and taped it up, and I kept it on all night, right? I wanted that initial night of healing to just happen through that. The next morning when I woke up, I took that off, and that's when I was going to decide, do I go with the Sanoderm or do I go with the Aquaphor? And there was some blood in the meat wrapper, but looking at the tattoo, it really didn't look bad. There was a little bit of dry blood and stuff. So I decided, all right, I'm going to decide on the Sanoderm after I clean it up. I cleaned it up, and then I was looking, is there any weeping? Is anything anywhere, showing up? Nothing. And I attribute a lot of that to my proactivity, doing the before care. A lot of people complain about having bleeds and stuff, and I'm not saying like just because you do before care you're not going to bleed, but in my case I didn't. A healthy diet, super hydrated, and just being mentally prepared during the tattoo, I believe that was all part of it. Now obviously for me as a hemophiliac, the factor 8 was also a factor. No pun intended. So I cleaned it up. It was perfect. I used a paper towel to pat it dry because I wanted to see, is there any blood or anything? And there was nothing. So I decided, all right, Aquaphor it is. So using the lotion and Aquaphor is pretty similar. There's a couple differences. The one main difference is the Aquaphor it doesn't really absorb into your skin. And you should not put a thick layer. You want the tattoo to be able to breathe and also stay dry. So when you put the Aquaphor on, sure, you're spreading it around and everything. But when you're done, if there's a layer on there, you know what I mean? That film, you know what ointment is like, and sometimes it leaves like a film on there. Then you want to take a paper towel and just pat it. Remember, by the way, don't scrub with a paper towel. A lot of times the tattoo can be itchy or whatever, and you think, oh, that'll be a good time to do that. Don't do that. Just take your paper towel and pat it. And then once you're done patting it, after the Aquaphor, you'll see it's still maybe a little bit shiny from the Aquaphor, but you don't see that goopy layer on there. That's what you want. You don't want a layer of Aquaphor. You want a very thin sheen of Aquaphor on there. And I did that twice a day during my healing process. Right after my morning shower. And by the way, in the shower, I use the antibacterial soap, just like I do at the sink. So I take hot, cold showers, and that worked out really nicely for me. I think this also helped with the healing process. But I don't go as hot as I normally do because I don't know, because it's an open wound, and if it's still bruising or anything like that, hot water will actually help the bleeding to continue. So I did hot-ish. And then I would clean it, but then I went to just bone chilling cold, and I kept the tattoo under that cold for more than a minute, to the point where my shoulder and arm would be like kind of numb feeling. I feel like that helped with the healing process too. I'm a big fan of hot cold showers, and I feel like that was a big part of it. Now the last thing, something that I didn't point out in the products that I bought, but I wanted to make sure that I talk about, is because summer will be coming up soon, and I've got this beautiful piece of colorful art, right? Most of you probably know the sun will fade colors. It will, over time, it will fade colors. So you want to get, and I'm not talking about like the baby oil or the Malibu SPF 8. You want something solid. So like this 70. And also I did sport because I wanted to stay on there all day, right? Even if like I'm sweating or something like that. But you want something solid. You need sunscreen for two reasons. One thing, because sun damages skin. And this is skin that's already been impacted, right? So this will help to prevent the sun from further damaging your skin, but it'll also help to the tattoo not to fade. And that's really important, right? Because I want these colors to continue popping over the years. And so in order to do that, I got to protect it. And that means on the days when sun's out, guns out, I'm going to wear my tank top because I want to share that I have this beautiful tattoo. Well, on those days, I got to put sunscreen on. It's just a fact of life. I have never really been a big sunscreen guy, but for this I think I'm going to make the effort because I want it to stay beautiful. I want it to stay healthy. So that's the last of the aftercare. Basically, just wanted to leave you guys with this. If you do decide that you want a tattoo, and that's awesome, I'm excited for you, then go for it. But just think about the things that I've said, because you can make your experience even better if you do a few things. Stick with your aftercare, by the way, all the way through. Remember that this isn't going to heal for months. So it may feel healed. Mine's a week in and I already feel healed. I don't have, there's no feeling of like an injury there, but I know that inside and under those layers, there's still stuff going on. My body's still working on it. So I want to stay with that mindset for months. I'll probably, at this stage, I'm so used to and I enjoy lotion on it, I'll probably continue to lotion it. I may go from twice a day to only once a day in a couple months, but I will still lotion it every day because I want to give it the best possible chance to survive and stay cool. All right, thanks for hanging out with me. And by the way, definitely like the video if this was helpful, but please, down in the comments, if you have experience with this, then chime in and say, did I forget something? Was there something that you did that you found helpful? That would be awesome to help other people who are looking at this. And then also, if this is your first tattoo, chime in also. Are you nervous? Is this exciting? Did this help? And let me know after you do it how it went and everything. Thanks for watching this, and I hope it was helpful. Y'all have a great day.